Hello and good evening, everyone, to the 28th episode of the Recce Report. Um, with me, your co-host, Russ, former British Army Warrant Officer.
And myself, Cliff, a former British Army Corporal. Good evening, Russ.
How's it going, mate? We've got a Warrant Officer and a Corporal, which means we're going to achieve the sum total of bugger all. We need some, uh, we need some fine, upstanding privates, lance corporals, and senior NCOs in, mate, to keep us abreast, don't we?
Yeah, keep us squared away.
So session 28, mate, which also marks the 10th anniversary of the formation, which would have been last week, of the formation of the Veterans for Scottish Independence 2.0 group.
Yes, that was a rather momentous evening.
Yeah, 10 years, mate. Wow.
Yeah,
All thanks to Kevin and the rest of the good people from Independence Live,
yeah,
who got a ragtag bunch of ex-squaddies, disgruntled ex-squaddies, together in a hall in Bears Den.
yes.
Phenomenal,
I was very twitchy that night. Wondering what the heck we were going to walk into, and then somebody handed me a mic, and that mistake's never been made again.
I think, and I've said this before. I think the thing for me was when Independence Live, when Kev put the call out for independence supporting ex-soldiers, ex-military. I think, having spoken to the rest of the other people afterwards, is that every single one of us thought we were going to be the only one that turned up.
Yeah.
But, because the media played on our boys, the patriotic, unionist supporting, all there, mate. And of course, this month also marks the 10-year anniversary since the 2014 independence referendum.
Yes, and that's where we're going to be going tonight, Russ, isn't it? Because since 2014, we've had some very, very low lows and some high highs. But to my mind, and please, people, jump in with your comments and thoughts on this one. To my mind, we've had the highs and the lows, but have we had any actual forward progress?
I think it's a really good question, Cliff. Do you think Alex Salmond did the right thing by stepping down in 2014?
I think he did, yes, because as the leader of the party that was pushing for independence and having lost it, they would have absolutely the mainstream media would have taken them to the cleaners on that one. Yeah, so
having said that, but did they not do that anyway when Nicola Sturgeon took over?
Yeah.
I mean, she was the deputy. She was Alex Salmond's deputy, so the media did that anyway.
Yeah.
And as much as Salmond's gone in a different direction now. You can't deny he was very media savvy. He was very good at maintaining discipline within the party.
Yeah.
I think Nicola Sturgeon was as well, to be fair. But it brings us on to the point that we were chatting about earlier, is that where is that gone? Where is that dynamism, that forward progress, that excitement that we all had in 2014? Where's it gone? Where's it gone? I mean, it's still there amongst the independent supporters, but amongst the political parties that are supposed to represent us, where is that drive and that excitement gone?
I can't see it. And as I've mentioned over the last few months we've been on, Russ, I really am at a loss as to what to say and what to do on social media. And for me, and you know me well enough, for me to be at a loss for words is not normal.
Yeah.
But we do need leadership. Any campaign needs leadership, whether it's a political campaign, a social justice campaign, or a military campaign. It needs leadership, and we need a leader that is dynamic, that is engaging, that is at times ruthless.
Yeah. And
Single-minded.
maybe my only caveat would be, because the independence movement since pre-2014 was mainly a grassroots effort. It was your veterans for independence, your academics for independence, scientists, English, Scots for yes, all these people. So I think the leadership is there amongst the minions, if you like, against amongst the plebs. Right? So not necessarily an amount of leadership amongst the political party, but I think a decent figurehead. And they've had opportunities. We said this, when Nicola Sturgeon stepped down. I said at the time, the three candidates at the time, Kate Forbes, Humza, and what's her face that bogged off to the Tories, with no choice at all. They went a new direction.
Yeah.
There was a chance to reinvent there, and we didn't take it. And we've seen how that worked out. And now John Swinney. John Swinney's just a rehab. John Swinney's been leader before.
Yeah.
John Swinney before Alex Salmond came in. I described him before well. I quite like John Swinney. My description was that he's way too Presbyterian to be First Minister. He's quite, sermonish when he talks.
Yeah.
As you say, we need someone younger, dynamic to reinvigorate the party.
Yeah.
And Hashbury's made a good comment there. He said the problem with the pro-independence parties is they have no answer to how we have another vote other than a Section 30 order. I'm going to both agree and disagree with that, Hash. I think we've fallen into the unionist narrative that is the only way to do it, by asking nicely. Now, I'm not suggesting armed rebellion. If the 77 Brigade guys are watching, I'm not suggesting that at all. But what I'm saying is, if we have an here's a point to ponder. Your right-wing parties, your Britain First, your ADL, whatever Nigel Farage's mask is wearing these days, the Reform, they don't get big votes. They don't. You've got 5 Reform Party MPs in Parliament, right? But look how influential they were at driving policy by the Tories and with Labour. The old controls on immigration mug Labour brought out, right? So there doesn't need to be necessarily, please, sir, can we have a independence referendum? We need to invigorate the public and get the media on side. The problem is we're fighting with one hand tied behind our back already, because the media will, under report, will dismiss independence, and then they'll magnify Nigel Farage on a bloody boat down in Dorset, or wherever it is.
Yeah.
We need to stop playing nice. We need to stop playing by their rules.
Well, that's where I think, and again, this is something that we have talked about off camera. We do need to stop playing by the rules. We need to pull ourselves out of Westminster, and we could have made so much more splash with the amount of MPs we had, but that's gone now. We can't reinvent that. But pulling our MPs out is a start to that. We need to stop this. Okay, Westminster. We know the world recognises Westminster as the unifying government within the United Kingdom. We know that, but we need somehow, and I'm out of ideas, Russ, but we need, as you said, to get the people on the streets. We have never massed people on the streets other independence campaigns have done worldwide. If you looked at the fall of the communist bloc, where they were getting millions onto the streets, We've never done that. I think the most we've ever had is what, 350,000 on the streets, something along that lines. But until we can motivate the Scottish people, the voters, to get onto the streets at that level of commitment, the mainstream media will continue to ignore us. Yeah,
You're right, mate.
Yeah.
You're right. We said before. I talked about Hamza Yusuf and Kate Forbes. Your man that's the leader of the party of Westminster. What's his name?
Russ. I was just...
Hey, help me out here. My mind's gone blank. Leader of the SNP party of Westminster. Come on.
Yeah.
Come on. 2 brownie points for the first commenter to get it. Stephen, is it Stephen?
Stephen Flynn.
Stephen Flynn. There we go.
Sorry,
I think it does have that dynamics that we need, right? Because actually what we need, and we spoke of this before, is we need to reinvent our political representation, both at Westminster and at Holyrood, with regards to the independence movement. Stephen Flynn's good. He's gobshite. We like that. You don't have that in Holyrood. Don't have it in Holyrood. I did hear last night, mentioned before, that Christine McKelvey's announced that she won't be standing for re-election in Hamilton and Larkhall.
Yeah.
For anyone looking for any sort of nefarious reasons for that, she is 80 years old now. It's just her birthday should be almost 82 by the time the next election comes around.
It's a good innings.
Yeah. So we talked about having that dynamic leadership, and I said we do have leadership amongst the grassroots movements, but we need dynamic young leadership, the media savvy types.
Yeah.
Right. He's Stephen Flynn. We have an option to do that.
Murray Black.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. Absolutely. Appeals to a lot of people. We talked about it being 10-year anniversary since the independence referendum, which means that no one today under 26, or by the time the next election comes around in Holyrood, anyone under 28 will have voted in that 2014 election.
Yeah.
Right. That is an entire generation of, go today, of that 16 to 25 year age group, which is a massive block of voters. These are the people we need to be involving, recruiting, exploring, mentoring, and get them in.
Ashbury's come up with another good one there about the Salvo petition to the UN.
Yeah.
Yeah, and how, even if the UN finds in favour, the UK will never be forced into complying with that. If you've ever seen how the UN works, you'll understand that. It is by consensus, and the ultimate one.
And the truth is, the UN don't decide.
No.
They don't choose who is independent. The whole thing, the simple thing is, for a country to be independent, it's a referendum amongst every nation on earth. It really is. It's you need to be recognised.
Yeah.
You get recognised as an independent country, and it builds from there. But you're right. You need the main players to do that. We've seen there the main problem with it invigorating the youngsters is to get them to turn out and use their vote. Well, this is Scotland. We pride ourselves on being a politically aware community, and that maybe that's what we need to be doing. Maybe that's what the SNP need to be looking at, because as much as the campaigners, the groups such as ourselves, bang these messages out, sometimes we're preaching to the converted.
Yeah.
And you can only have so many rallies and marches and things like that. We need to do it a different way. The way to do it, when we had that majority in Westminster, when we had the 56 SNP MPs down there, was the first time they were told off. They should all have marched out.
Yeah.
And that's it.
I've taken a bit of time to get round to that way of thinking, I'm heavily on record as saying that walking out wouldn't prove anything. I was wrong in that thought. I was absolutely wrong in that thought.
Because staying achieves nothing.
Yeah. I am convinced of that now. And we can still do it. We can still pull our MPs out of there. Yeah.
We can. We're paying all those MPs 65 grand a year.
Yeah.
To produce media sound bites for the SNP YouTube channel.
Yeah.
That's all reform. That's what reform get out of it. They've got 5 MPs. They produce the same.
Yeah. But this is where we need that dynamic leadership. We need this new infusion of ideas, and without it, we're just going to be floundering. Where's my countdown? Just so people are aware. At this moment in time, we have got 604 days, 10 hours, 43 minutes, and 29 seconds before the polls open at the next Scottish Parliament elections. That's the amount of time we have to convince people that they need to vote for an independent supporting political party. But we can only start. Sorry.
I was going to say, and as much as, excuse me, and as much as we detest what the Reform Party stand for, their right-wing xenophobia and racism, they're the tail wagging the dog, which is why, although this is normally a very detrimental award, in this case they may take it as a bit of a backslap, but that's why this week the Reform Party is our Yuns of the week.
It's quite an interesting little holiday going on there, or an example going on there. When the right wing hits speech, saying that for the voice of the silent majority, look how quickly we got close out. Look how quickly they close out. That would happen exactly the same way in Scotland. We
need it, mate. It needs to be. It needs to be front and center, mate. And maybe we need that media savvy figurehead. I think if we could get Mary Black into Holyrood, we get Stephen Flynn into Holyrood by whatever method. Because at the moment, 2026, there's a fairly good chance, and I hate to be the purveyor of doom and gloom, there's a fairly good chance that the SNP won't be the party in power in Holyrood in 2026.
Yeah, well,
the good news is, as you said, they've got 600 days to turn that around.
Yeah. And I've had that countdown on for about a month and a half now. And I've not picked up anything from the SNP that has made me think, this is it. We've got the turnaround. It's march forward now.
Honestly, I used to. I don't know if you're the same. I used to religiously tune in to First Minister's questions every week. It was always fun. It was always fun with Salmond, even with Nicola Sturgeon. It wasn't. And when Hamza came in, it was like, no, it's just more of the same. It's that same one-upmanship, brinksmanship. Douglas Ross, Anas Sarwar. It's a repeat, mate. It's syndicated. We've seen this before.
Yeah.
You're just going round in circles. There needs to be something changing.
Nothing's changing. The opposition parties deliberately try and dumb it down. They don't want to see it being portrayed as a successful debating chamber, a successful parliament that achieves great things. And we do. The Scottish Parliament has brought many a wondrous thing to us Scots, or us that live in Scotland, I should say, because you can be any nationality, and you will still get your baby walks, if you're living within the borders. Right? And you don't have to pay a toll crossing a bridge. Now, since I've moved house, I'm finding that very handy indeed. The amount of times I'm crossing over the Forth these days. So yeah, it's really good. I just noticed a comment going past there, Russ, about possibility of armed struggle. Nobody has gained independence without the use of armed struggle. I'll just underline what you said, Russ. We are not and have never ever promoted the use of armed struggle. And
No.
with myself and Russ in particular, we have seen at the sharp end what that does to the cost of human life of that type of thing. We will get this done, and we'll do it through the ballot box. We are not advocating armed struggle and never will.
Yeah. No, it's a Pyrrhic victory in that respect. There's an aspect of you may win it, but at what cost?
Yeah.
And I don't think either of us would relish that idea, or even kind of propose it. Yeah. The truth is, you know what they say: war is a failure of politics. And we need to have better politicians. Yeah. That's the tall and short of it. We need better politicians, better representatives. Maybe we need to reach out to these, the Gen Z and the Gen Alphas, to get involved, get invigorated, because we've seen it. We see there's young people out there get interested in politics. One of the potential contenders for the leadership of the Tory party in Holyrood was a bloody student at University of Western Scotland, 10 years ago.
Yeah,
that's it. So maybe not so young anymore, but that's a meteoric progression from graduating councillor for a while, and then into Holyrood on the but still in.
Yeah, there has to be someone out there that has the spirit about them, to drive the campaign forward. I mean, we have to have an Alexander the Great or a Napoleon kicking about the place. Someone that can engage you every time they speak. And as much as I despise the man, Churchill was absolutely outstanding with his speeches.
But he was a product of his time, mate. He was the right prime minister at the right time.
Yes, he was.
Unfortunately, prior to that and after that, he was a bit of a dick.
Yeah. During the war,
and that's putting it mildly.
Yeah. So I'm just noticing some of the comments coming through there and deliberately ignoring them. All right. Yes. So where do we go, Russ? Where are we going to get this input from?
Well, that's the question, mate. I'm wondering if you're saying where do we go because you've run out of things to talk about. But actually, where do we go? Where do we go as a movement, as individuals, as people that are still shouting for the right of self-determination for Scotland? We said that at the end of the day in 2014, the way the vote fell, Scotland voted against independence.
Yeah.
You lost, shut up, get over it was what we heard.
Yeah.
We've campaigned since then, consistently for the past 10 years, which is halfway through that once in a generation we keep hearing about, at least. I hope we're not sitting here in 10 years saying the same thing.
No, I in 10 years' time, buddy, I hope to be sitting in an independent Scotland, soaking up the sunshine. With all my new camera gear. But
mate. I'll still be sat here by this computer, mate. But and the truth is, unless the SNP, and it has to be the SNP because the other independent supporting parties, the Greens and Alba, and we have a Tommy Sheridan's fronting now. If we're going to wait for them, we're going to be waiting 40 years.
Yes.
As it is, as it is, if the SNP act now, there's a good chance that they can at least hold their own, if not win the 2026 election, at least be, the second biggest party. If they don't act now, and we get decimated in 2026, then that's 20 years. It's going to be 20 years, mate, before there's any movement again. 20 years.
Guys, girls out there, it sounds very much doom and gloom from me and Russ on this one, but we deliberately set it up like this because we need, does the grassroots need to kick the political board into action? Quite possibly.
Well, they did. They did at the Westminster election, mate, didn't they? People just didn't turn out to vote for the SNP. There may be a multitude of reasons for that. There may have been a feeling that they had to vote Labour to get rid of the Tories. It may have been disillusionment with the SNP. There might be, maybe immigration is a bigger thing in Scotland than we gave it credit for. Although the demonstration in George Square on the weekend kind of put paid to that. There was a couple of dozen fascists turned up.
I do love seeing the fascists when they try and come into Scotland.
But yeah, so SNP need to act now, or we need a charismatic leader of a new party, and sadly, the current party leaders don't swing it.
Yeah.
Sorry, Alex, but you need to retire gracefully.
Yeah.
And have someone in that's going to do it. Someone that's not going to turn out to be, a Prussian house painter circa 1932.
Yes. Oops. So, folks, basically, if you know anybody in the councils that's quite dynamic and independent thinking, maybe it's time to whisper in their ear that they need to move forward. Grab it.
Yeah.
Get them onto social media. Get them speaking. We don't have to stand on a street corner on a soapbox anymore. We can get on the social media, but we need dynamic leadership. We need to have a focal point.
And I think you nailed it there, Cliff. We talk about Holyrood and Westminster, but the truth is, the councils are the feeders for these, the local branches. And for too long, I live in Lanarkshire, mate. There's been a lot of nepotism going on there in the past. Although I absolutely loved our MP before she got voted out last election on Marion Fellows. She was lovely. There was a lot of nepotism in the branches. So people that were getting put through for nomination weren't necessarily the best people. They knew people that knew people. Yeah. So maybe that's where the grassroots needs to fit in. Get involved in your local politics and your local branches.
We have a marvellous history in Scotland of producing leaders, covering all aspects of things, not just military or political, but captains of industry, etc., etc. We must have somebody sitting there who's saying to themselves, I could do this better. If you're sitting there thinking you can do this better, prove it. Get on there. Get in front of a mic. Have a go at it. We know it's embarrassing talking in front of a mic for the first time. We've done it. We did it 10 years ago. Right? Yeah. If you ever any's want to look back at that tape from Bears Den, you will see how embarrassed we were. But
you can find it. You can find it on. You can find it on our YouTube. Somewhere. I don't think I've got a link to it, but if you just look up YouTube Soldier Y, you'll find us. We're on there. Don't you worry. And at that point, we have come to the end of our allotted time again for this glorious 9th of September. It's always a final comment there from Ashbury says, I believe we have too much introspection at the moment. I'm going to paraphrase that, mate. I think introspection is a good thing. I think we've got what we've got at the moment is gazing, which is not introspection. Introspection is looking inward, identifying the issues and doing something about it. Navel gazing is just shaking your head and thinking, where did we go wrong? But an interesting comment nonetheless.
Yeah, Ashbury, as always, your comments are worthwhile, buddy.
Absolutely. Good final comment from Eddie Wolf there. Hit the like button, folks. Yes, please. Yes. Whichever platform you're looking at, please hit the like, share, subscribe. Yep. We always forget to do this because we're terrible at advertising. But yeah, that's absolutely what we need.
Yep.
But
we're also terrible at timekeeping, Russ.
Well, you know me, mate. You know what I mean?
This goes back to what you said at the start. We need somebody else to monitor what we're doing.
Oh, definitely. I mean, no way I'm stepping forward. No way. But plus, I'm not having anyone scrutinise my, 40 plus years of social media input. That's not a job for anyone. But everyone, thank you so much for taking the time this week to listen to our inane ramblings. As always, it's a pleasure. Thank you so much, Cliff.
Yeah, as Russ said, there. Always a great honour to get any airtime, get in front of the mic, get in front of the camera and have a chat. Thanks for joining in, folks. It's never taken for granted that people do actually listen in. So everyone that's taking their time out this Monday night to listen to us, thanks very much. Please share the video, get it passed around. All of us, every single member of the grassroots community needs to dust ourselves down, pick ourselves up, and just move forward as best we can, and just hope that there is somewhere sitting in our councils, somewhere there is a leader that can take us through and take us on to independence. So on that optimistic note,
have a good evening, everyone. Take care.
Have a good evening, folks. We'll see you next week. Next month, sorry.
Yes. All right. Bye-bye.
Cheers.